What am I doing here? I am a Roman soldier. My loyalty is sworn to the empire. But here I am with these people. They are enemies of Caesar, of the Republic, of the gods themselves, Jews. Not even good Jews. Radicals. Despised and mistrusted by their very own people. Men and women who the Pharisees have branded as heretics, deserving of death, just like Jesus, the man who they claimed was the Son of God. Oh, sure, I heard the stories. The men and women who claimed he healed them or their loved ones, even defied death. I even saw him. I was at the pool of Bethesda, where he told that lame man, "Get up and walk." And the man walked. After that, when I heard Jesus of Nazareth would be in town, I would ask to be stationed near him. And I saw more things he did, healing blind men, feeding thousands. I'd started to believe, but then I heard things. The leaders of the Jewish community, those who have friends high in Pilate's court, started whispering that these miracles are not the work of God, but those of Satan. His power to destroy evil was not from heaven, but from hell. Then came the Day of Palms. Oh, how the crowds gathered and praised him, shouting, I was there at the back of the crowd. Caesar was afraid they might take and crown Jesus over Pilate. But I was glad to be there. The people laid down their cloaks as he came. I was sure he was something special then. With all that loyalty, how could he not be? Of course, talk is cheap, as they say. I was there with the elders when Judas Iscariot came to them. I watched as they counted the silver that he had traded for his friend's life. 30 pieces of silver was not even a month's worth of wages for me. Certainly not enough to betray a man who I had seen do the things Jesus had done. I was stationed about the house in which he had the Passover in the upper room. I heard him tell them that the wine was his blood and the bread his body, that they were to eat and drink in remembrance of him. Then he foretold what was going to happen to him, that he would be betrayed and die. My company and I followed as he took them to Gethsemane and told them to pray. When he took the three called Peter, James, and John up with him, that is when Judas came to find us. I heard Jesus beg to his Father that if there was a way out, so be it. And then followed up with, not my will, but yours. He lifted his head, his face resigned. That is when Judas sent the signal, a greeting kiss. Judas's actions made me filled with disgust. To betray a man who you claim to be loyal to is despicable. We ambushed him then, and I lost my ear. The fiery one, Peter, took his sword and chopped it off. Then Jesus picked it up and put it back on, like nothing had ever happened. I was at the court when Peter denied him 3 times. When they brought in the body of the traitor after he had hung himself, and when Pilate's wife sent the message that Jesus was not to be harmed, I heard the crowd shouting, when Pilate turned him over. I heard the whip crack as it bit into his flesh. My commander came and said that I was to be on duty that night at Golgotha, the place the Jews called the Hill of Skulls. I watched as they nailed his hands to the cross and as they stabbed his side. I heard my fellow soldiers mock him, "Come off that cross! Call down your God!" They shoved on the crown of thorns. I stood by helpless. I saw his blood run out and cover the earth, pour out of him until it was nothing but water. I heard him cry, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Then I watched as he drew his last breath, shuddering, racked, and painful. It started to thunder. The darkness rolled in and the earth started shaking. We were terrified. My comrades who had cast lots for his clothing quickly tossed them back, hoping to appease his God who was so angry. But I stood, trembling and terrified, even though we had killed him, which for most would mean that Jesus was not the Son of God. I knew he was who he said he was. When Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus came to take down the body, I helped them pull it off. Some women came and wrapped him, and they put him in Joseph's very own tomb. Another company of soldiers came, and I gained permission to stand guard. For 2 days I sat outside the tomb, never taking my breaks, having food brought to me, never leaving. Something more was going to happen. I could just feel it. On the morning of the third day, I suddenly heard a noise, and the earth shook. And before me stood 3 angels, shining and glowing like nothing I had ever seen. And then he came out, dressed in white, no longer in the grave clothes. I was stunned. I could not move. I could not even speak. Then he walked off. The angels stayed, and I stayed in the bush beside the tomb. I saw the women come, and when they left, I followed them. That is how I came to be here, in this room, with these radicals, this strange place. Because when Jesus returns from wherever he went, it will be here, to these people.
Jesus did return to that room. He spent more time on earth and then ascended into heaven.
Everything we have shown you is true. He died on that cross and rose again.
He defeated death and sin
For you and me.
And everyone.
Easter is a celebration of his death.
And most importantly, his resurrection.
If your life story doesn't have asking Jesus to be your king in one of its chapters,
We encourage you to change that today.
Because having Jesus as your Lord and Savior will change you forever. He died for you.
Why don't you live for him?
Thank you.